Some of us are outwardly successful, but inwardly feel unhappy and living a life lacking in purpose and meaning. The Necktie and the Jaguar by Carl Greer can help you discover what's important to you and how to go for it. For more information or to purchase the book, visit carlgreer.com. That's CarlGreer.com.
You've been given access to receive messages of clarity, guidance, and love. As channeler, psychotherapist, and author, Noemi Grace has an intimate dialogue with the divine on your behalf. Lisa Berry, creator of the show Light on Living, will be co-hosting as live callers ask their burning question on self-love, self-healing, deepening relationships, areas of struggle, and next steps. By simply listening in, you're receiving wisdom that will lead to sacred stability from every channeled message that Noemi delivers. Join us now as we give you access to angels and grace. Oh, well, hello, everyone. Happy day to you. And we are so happy that you're here with us on today's show to Access to Angels and Grace, because Noemi and I are going to literally help you with access to handling these big ones. Risks, mistakes, regret, indecision, choices. Oh my gosh, Noemi, there's so many things we're dealing with today, and we all need this help. So thank you for being here with me.
Thank you for being with me. It would, if I talked to myself for an hour, it would not have the same impact. So thank you. There's so many. This is so relevant. We all have made mistakes, and we all have had regrets, and we all have had self-doubt and all these things and uncertainty. So to me, where we're going with the show is just so relevant to me, even, and to from what we're hearing from listeners. So yes, and we're going to address actually a listener's question that was posed right after our last show. But the word that keeps coming up for me, and that I think people are really feeling, because we hear the word risk. I mean, there's a board game after it. Come on. So it's a word that we use, and I think of it often when people say, are you willing to take the risk? We hear it financially, when you're investing, how the risk you're willing to take, or if something's a little bit dangerous, quote unquote, risky. But we actually have this, I think, like a very low level in the background running level of risk that we're going, is that risky? Is this risk? Is that a risk? And we're just like constantly, like humdrumming in the background going, can I take this risk? And I think it shows up in our life all the time. All the time. And I think some of that is part of the survival of the species, right? There's the woolly mammoth. Can I take this risk? Can I outrun I've got a spear. There's a big thing out there. Can I take this risk? So I think some of that has been programmed, through the ages, and so survival, always being the paramount and forefront concern at the level of the species. And then, of course, we want evolution and all of that good stuff. But yes, that is it too risky? And then there's also is it done? Okay. Maybe now it becomes too risky. Maybe at the beginning it wasn't so risky, but you may have, found that it became too risky because things have changed. Yes. And then if we continue to make those commitments and choices out of obligation, perhaps it's out of the risk now has turned into, this is a fear-based risk. Like, I'm taking this risk because I'm afraid of what the other risk, the consequence is. Or we can say, or am I taking this risk now, continuing to take it out of love, out of alignment with what is right for me? Yeah, which is like the quote from Anais Nin that we had on the write-up, the show description. And the day came, I can't remember all the words, but and the day came when the risk to stay tight in the bud was greater than the risk of opening up. And those are not her words at the end. It started out with her words, but basically the risk to stay there in your shell became bigger than the risk to open up and grow. And
yes. And I think that's where, we wanted to, first of all, acknowledge, thank you so much when you guys post any comments or questions and yes, we need to know a little bit more about this or have some clarity. And sometimes our listeners, they listen and then they share with us what they came through on the other side, of after having some guidance from the shows here. And one of them we just want to highlight again was, today's show is really, how do you know what's right for you? And that's what we're going to be exploring for the whole thing. And one of those things that we often, we find ourselves in a position of, which is where this, our listener came from this position, is how do I know if it's right for me? Because sometimes I'm responding or I'm obligated or offering myself out of love, and sometimes it's out of fear. How do I know which is right? Because maybe you're going to survive only if you're coming from fear or love. And so, Noemi, if someone's
that's
really...
an interesting statement right there, right? Because we talked about the survival of the species. So do you survive only if you're coming from fear? That may be a thought, right? Fear of the woolly mammoth, you survive. But maybe you don't because you have no food to eat. And so therefore, you need to be with that fear and recognize that the risk is worth the reward. So yes, it just struck me when you said that,
Yes,
So.
That's actually brilliant. Is the risk worth the reward? And I think that's where we go, okay, am I coming from love here or fear? And sometimes I think this is why this was a tough one to even hear an answer in, because risk doesn't mean wrong.
Risk doesn't mean what? Excuse me, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, because
not at all.
because it's risky, it doesn't mean that, okay, wait, that's too risky. We do have to find out if it's too much for us. That's why the thing is, how do you know what's right for you? But risk doesn't mean wrong. And so if you have a little bit of fear, you're acknowledging that there's some risk involved. That's okay. And this could lead to your survival. And then coming from love is a different feeling inside. So maybe we're going to explore that throughout the show about what does it feel like to come from love? Like, how do you know what's right for you when you come from love?
Yeah, and even in the pre-channel message, it starts by saying that who's asking the question of what's right for you? Is it the ego, or is that inner being, that true self, that depth of the truth of who you are, that's that kernel of you that is always real and true? Is that asking the question, right? Because those are going to be different answers. Where is the question coming from? And so is it coming from fear? Yes. Right? So coming from fear, looking at the woolly mammoth. I know it's kind of a ridiculous example, but it just came to me, so we're going to go with it. Certainly not relevant to any of our lives today, but think of the woolly mammoth as that big thing that you've approached before, or you consider approaching, and you look at it and fear and run away, and too much out of the comfort zone. Or, okay, yes, there's fear here, but I feel that I'm confident in my ability to do what's needed here. Right?
Yes. You have me imagining somebody who's potentially going to purchase a house, a large purchase, and it involves so many things. Like, can I afford it? So sometimes when we ask this question, can I afford it? If we're coming from fear, we're going to come from, if I spend this money, maybe I'm not going to get any more money coming in. Maybe I'll be left broke or, empty. But if it's coming from love, let's say also too, going, no, I have endless resource. It's renewable. I have this. So I love that you said that. Who's asking the question? And you're going to get a different answer. And I think that because it is in the pre-channeled message, do you want to jump into the pre-channeled message?
Yeah. I think we had talked about doing something else, but that feels like it's, we are unscripted here. We're taking the risk. We are unscripted here. We are live, and Yes, the pre-channeled message has been received ahead of time, but again, what comes through there is unscripted as well, because I have no idea what the divine's going to say when I sit there and say, okay, what do you want to say? So I'm just going to grab a swig of water.
Yes, and everybody, so as you hear this beautiful pre-channel message that Noemi sits with on the weekends just prior to the show, she is sitting with that question, how do you know what's right for you? And if anyone listening has ever thought of, I'm afraid of making a mistake, and what if I'm wrong, and I don't want to regret my choice, we're going to dive into so many beautiful layers here as Noemi leads us with this pre-channel message.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, so this is about knowing what's right for you and knowing if you're ready and what to do if you're not. So, the question of what is right for you can be answered on many levels. What the ego says is right is often different than what the true self says. Your true self is the deepest, truest, uniquely you aspect of you, and it has a different perspective and different goals than the ego. When you choose from ego, your choice supports ego's primary goals of survival and being special and being seen and heard. The true self chooses what aligns with your deepest personal truth. That may not make you feel special, but it will lead you to a greater discovery and alignment with the truth of who you are. Thus, the first step is knowing what's right. In knowing what's right for you is to know who is asking the question. Where are you coming from? Which perspective are you holding? Egos or your true selves? To get the best answer, you must embrace the best perspective, that of the truth of who you are. And even if you don't know who you truly are, align yourself with the power of intention and intend to know what is best for your deepest, highest, and truest good. We are always available to help to guide you when you hold this intention. Step out of ego and step into more of the truth of you. We encourage you all to meditate, to get silent, to silence the mind, and in that still place, ask your question, both of yourself and the universe. One of the benefits of meditation, once you have practiced it for a while, is that it takes you out of ego mind into higher conscious awareness. And in this state of enhanced awareness, you perceive different answers than in the state of ego mind, which is often needy, demanding, and self-serving. Seek to know the deepest truth about you and to choose what aligns with that truth. Once you perceive the answer, you need to not follow the urge to go out and make it happen. Many of you have a tendency to leap into action, while others of you have mastered avoidance. Neither approach leads to balance or the manifestation of your best choices through ease and divine grace. Life does not have to be as hard as many of you make it. Change does not have to be as hard as you envision it. Learn to envision from the deepest awareness of your true self, and then what you see will be so different than the ego's perspective. As you become clearer on your best choice, the best path for you going forward, the next realization you need to embrace may be harder for you. Once you answer what is most right for me right now, then you must answer, am I ready for this choice? If you're not ready to make a change or change the way you're being in a relationship, job, or with your health or finances and so forth, you must be honest with yourself. Otherwise, you miss the most valuable step of determining, how do I get ready? If you're not ready, but you leap anyway, you may find the road is harder than expected, and that you are unprepared for the aftermath of your decision. Become ready by getting yourself ready through making the internal changes that support you and transform you into the person who can make the choice with ease, with the support and backing of the universe, and those friends, family, acquaintances, or colleagues who can assist you in making the changes that are most right for you in your current state of readiness. And as you put your focus and energy into getting ready, as you develop a deeper understanding of the truth of who you are, you may be surprised to find what's right for you shifts when your perception shifts and your understanding of yourself deepens. Allow yourself to reevaluate, to ask yourself again, what is most right for you? and what you are most ready for. And as you align with your deepest truth, your needs and desires also change. And what was once the thing that you had the greatest urge to do no longer has urgency attached to it. It may still be the best and highest choice for you, but your relationship to it and view of it has changed. Or it may no longer be the choice that serves your greatest and highest truth. The more you know yourself and your unique essence and purpose, the easier it is to align your choices with the truth of who you are. Then choices are not only something to do, choices become a vehicle for liberation, freedom from everything that has kept you from the truth of you and from supporting and living that truth. There are so many layers of truth that you have yet to discover and opportunities for you that you have yet to see. As always, we are available to guide you. In great love, we are complete. Namaste.
I love there's like a formula in there as well. I love it, but it's what I hear. There's a word. It's the word change, not risk, but change. And it's okay to change because we grow, and there's these layers, like you said, of truth that we have to go through when we're ready.
And and honoring that readiness, right? I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to start this business. And if you're not ready, if you don't have everything ready, the finances, the marketing, whatever is needed, you're going to find out that this is not what I envisioned. So it is so important to acknowledge that we're not ready. It's okay to not be ready. Who said you have to be ready?
Yes.
So, and I think being willing to acknowledge you're not ready takes some fear out of asking that question, is this right for me? Because if it's right for me and I have to leap now, I have to make that choice now, maybe I don't feel like it's so right for me. But if you take it away from, do I have to make this change now, and just say, is this what is the best thing for me now? And if you can ask that question and take yourself off that hook of having to be ready, then you can do the transformation work to get yourself ready, or the practical work on the outside, if it is starting a business or something like that.
Yes, I love this. And as Doris Day would say, I'm ready, willing, and able. So what we'll do
Doris Day, that's before you.
I just love that.
That is before your day, girl.
Doris Day is before my day. I just love her. So I love this. We'll sneak away to commercials, but when we do come back, we will be talking about ready, willing, and able, and really, taking yourself off the hook from the risk and the fear, and being able to really find out what is aligned to your truest self here on Access to Angels and Grace.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
This is Kathy Beal, host of Celestial Compass, featuring astrology you can use. Celestial Compass points you to what's going on in the sky and what you can do with it down here on Earth. We also explore fun, effective, and cosmic tools for navigating this adventure we call life. Join me the first and third Monday of the month at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for Celestial Compass. It's enlightening, entertaining, and empowering.
My loves, you know you're here as a soul-led leader to transform this world through the sharing of your passions and gifts. You are here to be in your warrior of light and align your business with your highest self. I'm Rosalind Fung of the show Activate Your Soulgasmic Business. Let's elevate your business to the next expansive level. I invite you to flow into a business soul alignment discovery call with me at rosalynfung.com. That's ROSALYN, fun as in have some fun, FUNG, and let's see how I can best hold space for you to align your highest self, magnetize your dream clients, and monetize on your soul mission. I can't wait to connect.
Coping 19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
Do you feel like your emotions are all over the place? That's normal during this abnormal time. There are a number of ways to cope. Maintain a healthy routine, get enough sleep, eat nutritious food, and exercise at least 30 minutes each day. Schedule some time to talk with a friend or family member. And remember, you can always take a few deep breaths to feel more centered.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
Oh, well, hello, everybody. Welcome back. And, this is such we do an interesting show here. I'd like to share with everybody, Noemi and I started this show, I can't even believe it, but like 2 years ago now. And we originally started it as a call-in show. And we've moved away from that because we really feel like there's a lot of, Noemi, you and I have a lot of intuitive conversations and what's going on within our lives and people and clients. And we have a lot of people that write into us, and we do have questions. And I do actually check the questions throughout the show or prior to, because I like our show descriptions. I think they're really helpful. And some questions do come up. And so sometimes when we get questions, we need a little bit more information or just a little bit more to go on. So we don't normally do this, but we, can offer for you guys to call in and ask, or to certainly write to us. I did receive a question on the break here, and I did get just now a little bit more information around it. So I'm gonna read that and to myself and feel it out. But Noemi, what I would love to ask, just for me, intuitively pulling all the questions together here, we're really discussing and having you channel and get some access to the right and ready. And just for a lot of simplicity here, Noemi, I know that all of us have felt when something is right. Oh, it's a calling, it's a desire, it feels good, but then our external circumstances perhaps, or our own confidence or things like that, just don't allow us to be ready. And what are some steps? I love that you said, we can take the fear out of, okay, wait, yeah, you may not be ready, but don't be afraid to ask if it's right. I love that.
So, I can share the example of writing my first book, An Intimate Dialogue with God, The Miraculous Power of Unconditional Self-Love. So I started channeling that in 2015, and by New Year's Eve 2016, I had the book ready to go. And I was going to then send it to my editor, but everything was not lining up. She was busy, and I then became busy, and then some things happened in my life, and I became really frustrated, and I was not in the same place that I was when I was channeling a lot, and I had stopped channeling a lot. So all of a sudden this book is ready, December 2016, and somewhere in the middle of 2017, I said, "Hey, hello, Divine, remember me? What's going on here? The book's ready, and it's not getting out, and no doors are opening, and you said you'd open doors, and this and that." And what I found out, so it was so right for me to write that. What I was told was, you must become the message of divine love as self-love. You must become that message of unconditional self-love. And when you become the message, or at least more of the message, because I won't say that I've fully become the message, but when you become that message, the doors will open. And then they did. And in 2019, and the book came out. And so it took a couple of years for me to become ready. For me to become, what was ready for me was to become the message. And it was channeling, from source has been the most right thing I've ever done in my entire life. So, I was like, why is this just not manifesting? It's the most right thing. And I'm so willing. But I wasn't so ready. I was still in a lot of judgment. And so, yeah.
Judgment. Yes. Yes. And the judgment, I think that's so funny. I literally just saw that word come up. And you shared with us, you know what? Our clients actually, our friend, our listener is actually going to call in. So we're going to address this question that she had. But you, Noemi, have a client who shared, sometimes the right choice is the hardest.
Yes.
And that when you said that now. Yeah.
That was so, in the middle of session, she goes, I've told my children. So she separated from her husband and had a very comfy life. But there was some things there that were really not healthy. And she told her kids, and she was separated, left the big house, and she's in this little teeny like guest house on some property that has mice in it. And, she said, this is, so hard after living in that huge house. And she said, but it was the right choice. And sometimes the right choice is the hardest. And she told that to her children. And I thought, wow, what a great role model for her children to be able to say that, the right choice. It was much easier to stay in the huge house and the comfortable lifestyle and ignore the things that were unhealthy. And so, yeah, when she said that the day you and I were going to talk, Lisa, and I was like, oh, well, we need to include that because it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy.
Yes.
If it's the most right thing for you, doesn't mean it's going to be the most easy thing for you.
And sometimes when we think it's the hardest choice, it just means that perhaps, and I'm just throwing this out there, that along the way we've just been shuttled, I guess the word is. Yeah, we've been shuffled and shuttled along. This way, go this way, go this way. And we haven't really been tuning in to ask ourselves, is this right? Am I ready? And now we're finding ourselves in a place that we're so far off of the mark that's why it's the hardest choice, but it is the right choice. It's like, ooh, I've got to get back on path, which means, darn it, I got to turn right around. Like sometimes for me, if I've gone the wrong way, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to turn around. All that time is wasted, but it's the wrong way. I mean, you got to go back. You got to go the right way. So,
and in your life that, because I can think of some events in your life that in your life, that time was not wasted. Something really great comes out every time. And for you, I've noticed that in your life.
Yes.
So with certain things that I invested all that time into that, and it's like, and from my life as well. So it really, the right choice can take us out of the comfort zone. If the comfort zone is living in the 4,000 square foot house and having so many bedrooms and bathrooms and everything modern and wonderful, if that's the comfort zone, then the right choice to be in that small guest house, in the wood, there in the woods,
and she was ready.
It took her a while, but she was ready. And so, it is, we can't evaluate the ease at which to make a choice, the ease of change, if use that as the metric to evaluate whether this is the right thing for us, the best thing, the highest thing for us, then we're going to stay in the comfort zone because that's always the path that's easiest.
Yes. And speaking of ease, we do have our listener. She's going to call in and go and be on the line with us, which is exciting. And when we ask this question, is this right for me and am I ready? What we might be challenged by is going, okay, wait, but is the ego answering, is this right for me? Is the ego answering, am I ready? And when we bring on our lovely listener here, there's something that she had written in, when the fear brings up a reality, which, quote unquote, of events that has violated the soul, is that the ego speaking? And so we'll bring our lovely guest on.
Okay,
wonderful.
I want to say one thing before bringing the lovely guest on. And so we are happy to have callers in, but listen, if you want something to be channeled live, listen to what's going on in that first segment of the show and see if what you want asked is related to that, is in alignment with that. Otherwise, reach out to us on social media,
Yes.
and we can help you offline and not on the show. So we've been holding an intention for a certain theme, and we obviously, as I said, are unrestricted and willing to go somewhere else. But just to, if you want something and it's important to you, then if it doesn't seem to fit in with the theme, don't despair. Just reach out to us outside the show, and we'd be happy to help you out.
Yes.
And maybe do a whole show about that.
Ooh,
topic.
yes.
Yes, indeed.
And I love this one because hello, listener who's on with us. We'll keep the names offline. Right and ready, and right being who does this feel right to and ready to? Is this the ego speaking, or is this the soul? So hello, listener. Can we bring you on?
Good afternoon, ladies.
Hello.
Good afternoon, listener. Happy to have you with us.
Thank you. Okay, my question is, if you've worked diligently on yourself and have overcome fears, say, for example, as a child, and today in this world has brought up situations that you felt you had dealt with, tried to overcome, did overcome, does that come from a place of ego, of not wanting to do that? Or is that a place of, I need something else that needs to be worked on?
So let me see if I understand the question. I'm sure the divine does, but I like to understand too. So something gets triggered related to something from the
childhood
past.
trauma. Yep.
Childhood trauma, and the fear comes up.
Yes.
And when that fear comes up, you want to know, is that the ego responding or embracing the fear, or is there something more to work on, a deeper layer? Is that the question? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good. I'm glad we have you here, because when you messaged Lisa, I wasn't sure I understood the question. Of course, the divine always understands, but I am inherently curious, and I like to understand too. So
exactly.
Let me just check with the divine here. Is it okay if we're a minute or two late to commercial?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So a minute or two late is okay with them, and they will bound themselves to that as best they can. The unbounded being bound for us. I love it. So, all right. So if this is your first time listening, I'm just going to grab a swig of water and greet the divine and turn it over to them. Divine, so grateful for your presence and that you can offer us some guidance and some wisdom here and this listener, so that she can receive the help. And we are so happy to help. We are grateful for this question. And as many of you have suffered from your past, have suffered in the past, and continue to suffer from your past in the present. And the suffering is like a thread holding, connecting events and times and places, and that suffering gets a new location that gets threaded into this fabric of this trauma. And so the trauma is complex for so many of you. There's simple trauma and complex trauma, and there's very complicated trauma. And so many of you have suffered this complicated trauma with so many people involved, or so many events of the trauma involved. And so healing from that then becomes not so simple. And yes, it can be, but the healing that is organic, if you have surgery, you don't wake up the next day and the wound, the incision is gone and all of the pain is gone. This is the organic healing. Takes time. It takes a process. It takes that time to heal and become stronger as a result of the healing. And so if this has been a painful event or many painful events, things will come up. Different layers are healed, but there may be a deeper layer. And so fear does not equal ego. Fear is a marker. It is a beacon to be aware of something. It is calling forth your attention to observe and be aware of something. Now, fear can be misplaced because of how your brains work, and the brains associate certain events with certain other events from the past and certain things happening today with things from the past. So sometimes it's a misplaced fear. But when you feel that deep fear, it is a beacon that you must look and see here. So acknowledge yourself for the healing work you have done, and also recognize that there is more healing available to you. There is more healing available. That doesn't mean that everyone is going to take that healing and run with it and go deeper with it, but there's more healing available. And so stop when you feel the fear. And we say to you, receive our love, because our love is incompatible with fear. And how you do that is stop and breathe and open your heart. Sit as if you had gates on your heart and open them wide. And breathe our love into your heart space. And breathe our love. And that love is the antidote to fear. And so whatever the fear is, bring love and bring our love in. And then you can see the fear with love and compassion. And you can then see it more accurately and more clearly and know, where does that fear come from? What is the source of that fear? Do not fear the fear. The fear, again, it is a beacon. It may be an alarm bell going off, but it catch your attention to see what is happening or what is the potential of happening. Then to evaluate, and best evaluation comes from eyes of love. It comes from being in love and compassion and being fully connected to your soul and being to the heart of you, to the truth of you, and being fully connected to us. So stop, learn to stop when you're in fear, and stop and receive love, and stop and open for our love, and allow our love to transform this situation. Now, the fear may still be there, but you are going to see it differently. It is going to feel differently, and sometimes the fear may be gone. And if the fear is gone, then you can easily tell, okay, that was not the true self. But if the fear is still present, there may be something you need to pay attention to, something that may be unsafe in whatever is coming up that has caused that fear. Or it may be that habitual response to events because of the trauma. And so the best way to evaluate anything is through love, in love, divine love, connected to your source, and connected to you, to the kernel, to the source of you, the core of you. And that connection comes through love. That is the connection where you can be connected to yourself fully, and you can be connected to us fully in that place where you receive divine love. And grace, our grace, which is our love in action and compassion and transformation, is available to you in that place. We have so much more to say, but we are aware that it is time to complete here in great love and gratitude for this question. Namaste.
Oh, I like that.
Me too.
I feel like fear is our friend now. We've made it.
Yeah, we don't need to fear the fear. Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much, listener, for calling in. And we'll look forward to your comments and responses on this as well, to what you feel. We'll sneak away to commercial break. And then when we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Yeah. I love this.
Yes,
absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Consistently attract soulmate clients, begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalind Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your soulgasmic business by tuning in on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Mountain. Join me for your light language activation and let's magnetize and monetize.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
I'm back.
And so we are.
Yes.
Back. Oh, you guys, we used to just we love this journey, and it's so many things unfold. And as we're able to, thank you so graciously from Noemi to be able to, receive these messages from Source and ask the divine these deeper questions. Because when we think about this, one thing I love that was shared was we evaluate from love.
Yes.
When you first think of okay, so we have to, is this right for me? Let me check in, let me evaluate. We want to evaluate with curiosity, but more so, we want to evaluate from love. That was a big one.
Divine love, and that the receiving the divine love is the antidote to every fear. And sometimes the fear gets transmuted, and sometimes it's still there, but we can then evaluate from love. Seeing it with eyes of love, seeing from that perspective of love.
Yes, and I'm gonna go deep and share something personal here. One of the things that came up was, is this fear a habitual response? And I have this continuous, and I'm going to say habitual fear that comes up for me, and I often go into my little my safe place, which is, okay, no matter what happens in the world, financially, relationship, anything in the whole world could happen. It's okay because I could just live in my van with the cats. And I always go to this I can live in the van with the cats, and then that's a habitual response because I can control it. And then I stopped this very weekend, and I said, why am I living in a van? I was like, wait a second here. Well, hold on. Why do I have to live in a van? What? I know. And so I stopped this habitual.
Yes, in Canada, no less. I mean, really.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to be freezing. And I laughed and I thought about it. Then I was able to evaluate from love and not from fear. So my fear would have said, well, a van, I can afford enough gas and heat and air conditioning and food. But then I was like, wait a second, I'm going to evaluate from love. And when I evaluate from love, I am abundant. I have so many, first of all, friends that I wouldn't have to live in my van. But, I have skills, I have love, I have connection. And it was really a funny stop in my tracks that I had this odd, habitual response that I would never have thought about. It's just more funny in the beginning. But then I really thought, wait a second, am I really holding this belief about myself that that's my preferred thing? And I was able to take that fear. I love that you said that, Noemi. Take the fear, take myself off the hook from fear and evaluate from love and evaluate this risk whatever it would be. Maybe I wanted to start a new business and I thought, oh my gosh, if I go broke, I'm gonna have to live in a van with my cats, so it's a realistic thing that I think a lot of us we don't even recognize that we are going into those thoughts, and that being able to sit with it, I think, is just so beautiful.
Yeah, I like that piece at the beginning that, earlier, that if it's right doesn't mean you have to be ready.
Yeah, it's so true. And, we can flip this so that people can really feel this. Sometimes we can be ready. We have everything lined up, the job, the person, the relationship, the house, the plans, the direction, the map. Like, we've got it all, but something feels off and we can't place our little finger on that. And then I guess what that is intuition. Is it, Noemi?
For sure. And that is, where is that place that's answering, is it right? When you're coming from the true self, you're accessing that intuition, you're accessing that inner knowing that really will not speak from the mind, will tell you what it knows, which is, it will tell you this truth that is, whether it's right for you or not, and or whether you're ready or not. And it's when taking that pressure off. Is it right? Yes, no, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm not sure yet, maybe I need more maybe I'm not ready to answer that question. Right. So is it right? Maybe I'm not ready. My eyes are closed. I want to stay closed, then okay, I need to get ready. Sometimes we have to get ready to ask if it's right before we can get ready to be ready,
Yes. And I just literally felt the question coming in. If you would be so kind to channel one more time for us.
It is my great pleasure, Lisa. Well, I appreciate that you hold it as kindness. I get so much out of this that, it's pleasurable for me.
Yes. Well, this one, I really felt it in my gut with this one. And it was back to what you'd shared about the layers of truth. And truth, what an interesting word. So I hope that everybody knows that perception of truth isn't perception of truth. That's you. You're perceiving this. Truth is always true. It doesn't become true and then false one day, but there are layers to this. And so the question that's coming through really greatly is, how can we be open to all the layers of truth without judgment sneaking in to say, well, you were wrong before, or well, then it must not have been true. Because our judgment and our criticism and our disbelief and lack of confidence in ourselves can hold us from there. So that question really is, how can we be gentle and drop that judgment and believe that there are layers to truth, and that it could have been true prior. It doesn't mean it's a lie.
Yes.
But now it's that we're more ready. Now it's more aligned. Now it's more true.
Yes.
That's feeling.
Great question. I like it. I'm sure they like it too. So, quick swig, and we're going in. That's what I tell my husband. It's like, in the morning I say, "I'm going in." I put on my
Spirit likes to be hydrated.
I'm going in.
Spirit is in full support of hydration, everyone.
Yes, indeed. Self-care. Oh, we love this question too, because it is in this question is the recognition that judgment is so rampant in your world. Judgment comes in. You said something about creeping in. Judgment is so available to you. It is so easy to judge and be judged and feel judged, even when people are not judging, and feeling that someone is judging and you're judging them because they're judging, and all of this. So don't judge the judging. Firstly, stop the judging of the judging. Oh, judgment. Recognize the judgment. As you start to recognize the judgment, as you start to become more aware, as you are more mindful of your inner landscape, the internal landscape, your inner world, and the emotions and the thoughts that are showing up, as you become more aware, you recognize the judgment. Aha, there you are, judgment. Aha. No judgment of it. Not like, why are you here again? I thought I was past you. I thought I moved beyond you. No need for anything like that. Simply, judgment. You may ask it, why are you here? It may actually have something to say that might be valuable. It may say, I am here because I don't think that is a good choice. And then you can ask, why? And then you might find that you have fear. And then you bring in the love. And so judgment, again, is just like fear in some ways. It is a beacon. It is there trying to catch your awareness. Its purpose is to get your awareness, to keep you from falling into that autopilot living, that living by default, that way of being checked out, semi-conscious, going through life, sleepwalking through life. And so judgment shows up. Recognize it. Have it be like that bad taste in your mouth. If something is not sitting well in your stomach and you have that bad taste in your mouth, let judgment be like that, where you're like, bad taste. What caused that bad taste? Oh, probably shouldn't have eaten that super spicy food, in the case of the bad taste in the mouth. What is causing this judgment? Oh, it's judgment again. It is not so much what is causing it, because it is there almost without cause, but it is why is it here? And if it's here because it's a habit, then pat it on the head like a young child. Habitual judgment. Okay, thank you for sharing. And stop engaging with the judgment. Stop hanging out with judgment. Stop making judgment your best friend. It can be an ally, but it doesn't have to be your best friend. You can have it as an ally. Recognize that it has something perhaps of value to say, but it has something of value to say from its perspective. From its perspective, which is not from love, it has something of value to say. And when you interact with judgment from love, you can then see, does it have value in the space of love? Does it have value coming from love? Or is it habitual? And if it is habitual, simply love the judgment. Why push it away? Why deny it? Why feel betrayed by it? Why have angst over it? Love the judgment and then stay in love. Don't love the judgment and become enamored by it and then obsessed with it, obsessed with its presence, or obsessed with pushing it away from your presence. Simply, oh, judgment, you showed up again. I love you, and my attention is going over here in the space of non-judgment. Thank you for raising that red flag, that bar. You have raised your hand to speak, and I have heard you, and now my focus is going over here. And so the things that you reject and resist, like judgment and fear and so on, and the emotional experiences that you label as negative and unpleasant, those things have value. And when you can be with them in non-judgment, when you can be with them in a place of receptivity, and then, of course, choosing love, then you can learn from them, and then you can free yourself from them. Because if you fight the judgment, you are now in this battle. If you resist the judgment will push and push. Simply acknowledge the judgment and return to love. There is so much more that we can say, and we are grateful for this opportunity and every opportunity, and we invite you to come back for our next time together, our next lovely time of sitting together and sharing with you. We are in great love, and we are complete, yet ever expanding. Namaste.
Absolutely beautiful. And just to recap, what I really love that is judgment helps you know when to bring in the love. Oh, I love it. So I feel like this show really could be expanded, and possibly we will do this again in the next one, actually. But that right and ready, the right and ready really does involve judgment. I think this is the next place to tour into. I love that. It's just don't judge the judging, and
yes,
you can ask.
Don't judge any of it. Bring love to judgment. Love it.
Yes.
Because if love. So you're not resisting it. You're not you're not pushing it away. That's what I like to do. Ugh. I get, sometimes it's like, ugh, so you have the more,
poised.
the ego that feels that it's more transformed, transcended. Oh, judgment. Oh, you don't belong here. And so it's just that kind of like, oh, it's all good. All of it. The divine doesn't judge any of it. The divine doesn't hate any of it, because God is love. Source is love. So it's all held in the arms of love and seen through eyes of love.
Yes, and we are always where we are ready to be. So they're right and ready. But thank you so much for our listener for calling in on the fly there. That was wonderful. And we really do look forward to your comments. So pop on over to our Facebook page, whether it's Noemi Grace or it's Lisa Berry, Berry. You can leave us a comment. Check out the show page on OMTimes Radio. And we are so looking forward to coming back again and exploring this further. Right, Noemi? Woo!
Absolutely. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Access to Angels and Grace. Always ask.
Yes, and to all the listeners in the U.S., happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And happy holidays to everyone. Yes.
Until December, everyone. Bye, Noemi.
Bye, Lisa.